Hi everyone, this week brings two momentous events, a solar eclipse in Aquarius, and we have the long-awaited Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So something is ending while another phase emerges from the ashes nearly simultaneously. So if there was ever a week we could dub as Phoenix rising from the ashes, this would be it, right down to the fiery symbolism of Saturn-Neptune in Aries. So on that note, I'm going to do a general reading for you and expand on this Saturn-Neptune piece. So Saturn has just moved out of Pisces and into Aries, and so has Neptune. So there's a sense of waking up, drying out, choosing what to build next. So, when you think about Pisces or a water sign, it's about sluggishness or slower, more stagnant qualities of the water signs. And how Saturn in Pisces can carry, or may have carried, a suspended feeling, if you will, that weird sense of sinking into a dream or moving through a season of life where you're just there in this like dream-like, womb-like state, if you will. So maybe that was what life, your circumstances, or your soul needed or required, or maybe that's what was possible for you between March 2023 and now. However, it is likely that that is not your circumstance anymore. It's like, now I'm restless, I'm wondering what's next, I'm open to movement, change, like I haven't been before for some time. That's what you may be thinking. While Saturn was in a water sign, you may have been mulling and reflecting, or you may have been deeply internal because of your choice or because of circumstances. You may have tried a few things, shifted other things, or dove into healing, but much of life from the outside looking in may not have changed much, if you like. So the form, the structure, and the general shape of life may have stayed as is, and now you may be questioning that. It's like, I'm wondering what kind of shape or structure might be interesting to test out. I don't know if what is, or the status quo, will continue to be the best fit, so to speak. This opening, this sense of curiosity about movement or feels, new things, is very relevant for this energy. Now, with fire signs comes this sense of drawing out, if you like. So we talk about a planet moving from a water sign to a fire sign as kind of, as I said, the planet is drying, like the planet is shaking something off, re-energizing, regaining clarity, focus, and forward momentum. Maybe you're feeling that too as these planets make this qualitative shift from water to fire. So maybe you don't know what's next, but you recognize the urge or the urgency to test, to try, and to see what might be possible. You may not even know where this urgency is coming from, by the way, or you may do, but you're simply open to things being different. You want them to be different, even if you're not sure yet how, where, or in what way. So at a practical level, you might notice that you stop tolerating vague plans or half commitments, even if that's your own plans and your own commitments to an area of your life or a situation. You want clear yes-no answers and clear actions, direct approach. You feel less interested in processing forever, so to speak. I'm not just going to stay in my fields, and I'm more interested in taking one real action, then another, then another. You want to simplify your commitments and put your energy behind what actually works. So there's a sense of uncertainty through transition, why Neptune's involved. Now, water and fire, Pisces and Aries, don't share qualities as is obvious. So water is cold and wet, fire is hot and dry. So they are as different as two elements can be. So of course you're adjusting. It makes sense to feel discombobulated, out of sorts, or a little unsteady, while a major energy takes hold and completely changes its expression, like Saturn has moved into a new sign. So the past few years, particularly from early 23 to early 2026, had a slow, still, stagnant quality. It encouraged continuity because continuing was easier than doing anything new or taking a risk. Now that didn't mean you stayed with was good, but it just meant that it was easier to coast than to break new ground between early 23 and early 26. That vibe has changed now. So what you could cruise with, you cannot anymore. As you and everyone around you in your life, so to speak, wakes up from this collective dream space, so to speak, you may feel re-energized or startled or even surprised or angry or upset, or I'm just so motivated and so passionate about taking action. And you might also get this sense of, oh, this is it. This is what's happening. This is real. You're questioning that. So there's honesty and truth here, and maybe a difficult realization, or 3 or 5. And then Aries wants to know, all right, then what are we going to do about all of this? What action are we taking? It's fire. It's act, do. So because Saturn in Aries is not resting, it's not stagnant, it's not silent, it is not uninvolved. Saturn in Aries will push, will poke, will prod. It will test, it will try, it will shake things up. It will ask, can we challenge convention? Can we make new rules here, if you like? Now, Fire demands movement. It pushes upward. It doesn't stop. Now, the double dry qualities of Saturn and Aries can be clarifying, even if what you realize isn't great or not as great as you wanted it to be. So the gift of Saturn is seeing things as they are, for better or for worse. Distance and separation can be a part of this transit too. Containment, healthy separation, clear boundaries. And that said, it can go too far into fracturing or coming apart or disintegration of structures and forms. So when I think of space and distance in terms of dryness, I think of this sense of this is my part. Have you been on a film set where it's like, this is where I stand, this is where you stand, this is my space, this is your space? It's called blocking, if you like. So the instruction is simple. It's like each person, each actor must stay in their own space, in their own zone, in their own area, in their own ghetto, so to speak. And that's how the film comes together. Getting closer or breaking the idea of space doesn't work there. That is Saturn in Aries. So finding your own space, your own area in which to move, activate, and express, and being aware of how you move affect those around you as well. With Saturn in Aries, you might consider how to take responsibility for your efforts, while also seeing how they contribute to the larger whole, so to speak. So keeping all this in mind at a practical level, if you look at your life direction, your work, your career, you may be pushed, or life may be pushing you, or you may be pushing yourself toward initiative, ownership, accountability. So the question shifts from what do I feel like doing to what will I build and what can I sustain. And this can look like taking on a new role where you have to be more direct, decisive, or visible, or starting a new business where you have to do those things, or being asked to lead, or you forcing yourself to lead, or you putting yourself in a situation where you have to take higher responsibility even if you don't feel fully ready. Realizing that you've outgrown a workplace, a boss, or a structure that felt fine but is no longer viable, and how do I move away from that over a period of time. Needing clear boundaries around clients, bosses, collaborators, or your time. It can also be that I'm not tolerating vague promises. I want more contracts, timelines, and more deliverables. Saturn in Aries will reward clear action, self-direction, consistency, strong boundaries. I said I'd do it, so I did it. And also owning your no. Where am I saying no? Saturn always will challenge avoidance, passive drifting, people-pleasing, and vague professional identity. I could do anything, so I do nothing. That type of thing will not work here. The energy will demand action. Now, from a money perspective, as I said, there's dry clarity with Saturn in Aries. That theme often shows up financially as well, with Saturn and Aries can bring a blunt audit, so to speak. So what's working, what's leaking, what's worth it, what's not. So at a practical level, you might see cutting expenses that don't support your goals, even if you're emotionally attached to them, restructuring debt or repayments or subscription or ongoing obligations. You may be getting more serious about pricing or boundaries or being paid properly, replacing inconsistent income streams with simpler, repeatable, sustainable ones. Or life is asking you to confront what you've been avoiding financially because you can't coast anymore. So Saturn in Aries doesn't necessarily scream instant abundance. Saturn rarely does, but what it's very good for is build something real and repeatable. So with Saturn, there's also a skill building thing. Saturn in Aries is training, rehearsal, repetition, and implementation. Saturn in Pisces was reflection and internal processing. We're not in that space anymore. So there may be a sense of choosing at a practical level, for example, choosing one course and finishing it rather than researching 10 courses forever. Or learning something practical and monetizable. Becoming more disciplined with practice and output. Shifting from spiritual learning to applied learning. Or shifting from permanent learning, I just keep doing classes and courses and never do anything with it. So it's less I'm inspired and more it's now like I am committed to doing this. Saturn in Pisces can keep you in limbo and may have between early 23 to early 26. Saturn in Aries now forces a choice and action. That can look like making a clean decision and tolerating the discomfort of the consequences that come in the short term at least. Choosing a path and accepting that it closes other doors. Saying no more often. Not out of cruelty, definitely not, I don't mean that, but out of clarity and respect. Testing something for maybe 30 days, test driving, and then reviewing the results and adjusting. Saturn in Aries likes experiments with structure, clear time frame, clear goal, clear measurement, clear boundary. So We may also find around relationships connected to work and money, clients, collaborators, bosses. It's like the blocking space, the film set space, like I said, real estate. That theme shows up loudly in professional relationships with Saturn and Aries, meaning, for example, ending collaborations that are too enmeshed or clarifying them, or collaborations that are unclear or dependent, reworking a relationship so roles are defined. Here's what I do, here's what you do. Realizing that closeness doesn't equal effectiveness. And I'm talking about work and money, by the way. It can also be like needing independence, clean division of responsibilities, who pays for what, who does what, and also mutual respect. Sometimes we've got to remember that the best working relationship becomes possible only after you create a little bit of healthy space and healthy distance. This is sort of a gigantic week, if you will. As I said, we have the solar eclipse in Aries, solar eclipse in Aquarius, that's what I was saying, and the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. What's being created this week is pure fire. The seed of the element, the planting seeds is happening. I'm not saying everything's happening this week, but it's definitely a big seeding moment. It's like in Tarot, the Ace of Wands. The covering is burnt off in the eclipse, and all that is left is purifying and purified flame